All right, guys. Hey, we have the Ford OBS. I don't actually know why Chevy and Ford both call them OBS, but this is the Ford OBS. And it's a 1995, 96, I think this truck is. I think 92 to 96, 7 is pretty much all the same. Getting a Coyote to fit in here is actually a total pain in the neck. And so as you can see, it's pretty wedged in here. We got very little room right there to clear that. And then also not get too deep in the actual floor of the truck. And then you can see we've actually got some stuff that we've actually had to cut and build a kit in order for this to go in. So this is an old truck. It's not something that we're using other than just mock-up. And so we wanted to figure out the best way for this to fit. So this is an AC compressor that comes on it. We actually worked on installing it with this because that's the actual cheapest way. It is a little tight over here. You might have to relieve it a little bit more if you actually want to use AC lines here. I don't recommend using this compressor. We sell a product that puts this compressor forward a little bit and over a little bit, and the power steering pump here, and it'll give you a little bit more room when you get fittings. And so we'll have miles of room compared to this, but we use a newer Sandit 7 compressor. The alternator is a factory alternator. As you can see, you know, I've got a fingers clearance here. But again, that's pretty much all you're going to get. If you run a different front runner system, you should be okay. This, generally speaking, is kind of like a worst case scenario. We kind of wanted to make sure that we were doing the very best R&D on this going into it. So here we are. We've got the kit installed here. If you take a look here, you can see that you don't have room right here for an oil filter. So you're going to have to purchase off our site. We sell an oil filter relocation kit that mounts here, and you can bring this and install it up here on the front radiator core support somewhere for your oil filter. But that is a tight location. There's not a lot of room, and you're going to get a pretty nice little kit that puts the motor right where it goes. So we're going to pull this out so we can give you a little bit more information, and you can kind of see how this works. There is some cutting, so this is a little harder kit. So you're going to see how much we had to cut out. And ours goes in, and you're gonna actually weld it in. So a little bit more than just a bolt-in kit. You're gonna have to do just a little bit of welding. The transmission cross member that's factory there, the transmission in a 6R80 or 10R80, you'll just drill new holes in that one, and it'll go right back into the cross member that's already existing in the truck. So anyways, we're gonna pull this out, and we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so we've taken the motor out, and as you can see, this is where your bushings are gonna go right here. There's a little bit of slotting right here to kind of help you get things centered. And then basically you got the bushings, and they're going to bolt it right in. If you look right here, you've got the motor mounts right here, and then you put a nice grade 8 bolt right through this bushing right here. We've welded this on here. We've just tacked it. We're actually going to take it out. But you would want to weld here and get some welds along there. It's not going to really go any place because of the weight coming down and pushing out on it, and this bolted in here. But it's a good idea to put some tack welds in there and just make sure it's in nice and secure. But you don't need to go crazy and over weld the crap out of it. Once you get these perches will actually bolt into the side of the frame. And then right back here, if you can see the transmission cross member, the original holes were a little bit wider, and then we're a little bit closer, so you drill 2 new holes once you get that set up in there, and you get your tail shaft of your transmission about where you want it. Just mark it, drill some holes, drop it down in there, you're good to go, and you're about a 2.5 degree angle down. It clears the floor, just barely clears everything. Ideally, it would be so much easier if you just took all this junk out like an older truck, but we anticipate a lot of people having really nice clean trucks, but they just want to pull the old motor out and put a Coyote in it. So this becomes really important that we're not disrupting all the original air conditioning and brake system. We want to be able to just tie into it, not replace it. So it becomes a little bit less expensive of a swap to a degree, because you can kind of use all that stuff, just make some new AC lines, tie into the dryer, get everything powered up. So there's some difficulty doing a Coyote swap like this. One, if you got a 96, it's probably the first year of the OBD2 sensor, so you're putting in your computer, tying into it. And the second thing is the column shift. So if you got an automatic column, you're gonna have to figure out how to get the column to tie in with the cable into the actual transmission. Something I'm gonna work on, but I gotta get an automatic column in order to figure out a cable system. We've done it once, a little bit of a pain in the neck, and so I just wanna come up with a different system for it. But you gotta tie in the column cable onto the transmission. Luckily in these years it was a cable anyways, you just gotta get a longer cable to go down to the tranny. The current cable is a little bit too short. So pretty straightforward, hard to mess it up. Again, this used to be filled in right here, but in order to make it all, we just took a plasma cutter and cut it all out. That's it. So if you need a kit like this, we got one for you.